Hellmaster EX. This award-winning system features the first single-engine joystick with digital electric steering and new autopilot capability. See Hellmaster EX in action at a Yamaha Outboard dealer or visit YamahaOutboards.com.
Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's November 21st. These are your headlines. Togging is definitely getting the most attention across southern New England, but we're seeing a sort of surprise resurgence in striped bass right now. And the freshwater fishing is really going strong. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items for you guys. Let's start by checking in on our tournaments. Here's what's going on in the CKC and the Dreamboat Challenge.
There were no new weigh-ins this week in the Coastal Kayak Clash, and time is running out. Can Bob Wagner land a bigger tog than Justin Oser before the contest ends? We will see. The leaderboard looks like this. Todd Treones has 4 points. Bob Wagner has 9 points, right behind our leader, Justin Oser, with 10 points. And now the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge entries for the week. November 30th is getting very close, and there were no new weigh-ins this week, so time is running out to catch Kyle Kraus. So the leaderboard remains the same. Ahmed Solomon at 19 points, Scott Waterman with 24, and Kyle Kraus holding steady at 36.
Now let's check in with Jenni Ackerman. Here's her latest installment of Open Boat.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Open Boat. We are on Phase 2 of the Open Boat Surfcaster Challenge. Now the first week I asked you guys to catch a fish on a teaser. This week I'm going to ask you guys to catch a fish on, I got a million of them in here. Let's see if I can get one on the first try. Oh, bingo, a pencil popper. Now this is a Scabelli pencil popper. You can fish your favorite pencil popper for this challenge. I want to see you guys get some nice fall run stripers on a pencil popper. Now of course I don't have my waders, so I can't wade, but I'm gonna talk to you guys while I'm fishing. So if you guys get a fish on a pencil popper, you're gonna email it to me, jackerman@thefisherman.com, with your name and the region you're fishing from. And when we wrap up this video series here, the little challenge, I'm gonna showcase all you awesome Open Boat viewers who caught during the Open Boat Challenge. So get out there now. Now's the time to fish and participate in the Open Boat Challenge. I'm gonna be proud of you guys with all the submissions. I know you guys are out there fishing hard, so I can't wait to see your catches on the challenge items. And stay tuned for the next Open Boat Surfcaster Challenge for the final lure. Catch you guys out there.
And the last thing, of course, is the giveaway, which is ongoing. It's been a slow trickle for photos more recently, which I guess isn't that much of a surprise given it's toward the end of the season. But I want to remind you guys, it doesn't matter if you catch these fish on vacation, it doesn't matter if they're freshwater, saltwater, you catch them through the ice, I don't care. But this one, we're giving away a flat glide needlefish. We're also going to give away some NLBN paddle tail stuff. And this one's going to wrap up on January 26th. So you've got, almost 3 months to take that winning photo. Just remember, I look for a well-composed photo, and it's got to show an angler holding a fish. It can't be laying on the ground or something like that. Outside of that, there are no rules. It's got to be locally caught, got to be recently caught, and it's got to be sent to me at danderson@thefisherman.com or texted to the number on the screen, and just give me all of the pertinent details. Tell me the name of the angler, how big the fish was, where it was caught, what it was caught on, if there was a story behind it, anything like that that would make it more interesting. Send it along, and we'll get you in the report, get you in the video, get you in the magazine, and hey, maybe you'll win something cool.
Now, until December 31st, Tsunami is giving away a Salt X waterproof backpack when you purchase a new Salt X2 reel. With its 19 seals and machined aluminum frame, the rugged Salt X2 can conquer any fishing condition you may face. Check out the QR code for all the details.
Moving over to the reports now, saltwater fishing up in Maine, up in New Hampshire are, it's pretty much done for at this point. There are some guys, heading inland, doing some freshwater fishing for trout, for largemouth bass, stuff like that. A lot of guys are deer hunting and stuff like that as well, which is, taking some people away from the game. But as we cross down into Massachusetts, things get a little bit more exciting, and we'll start things off with Kevin Huang from Surfland Bait and Tackle. Here he is.
Hey guys, Kevin checking in here with the Merrimack and surrounding areas report. The striped bass, not much to be found right now. There was some at the south end of the island, some guys saw feeding on some bait, but other than that, there's been a ton of seals, but no stripers. Upriver, plenty of carp still. That's like a bite that will last all winter if you can find open water. The crappie bite's been pretty decent. That's picked up with the white perch. And then smallmouth bass, that's another species that I would be targeting. You can do some finessing with like Ned rigs, or you can do jerkbait fishing with like Mega Bass 110s, are my favorite when you're fishing jerkbaits for smallmouth. And then you can target some largemouth also. And chain pickerel, the cousin of the pike, phenomenal fishing right now too. And same thing, the jerk baits are great. Spinner baits, like inline spinners like rooster tails, maps. You can do like spoons, all different type of techniques for those too. Pike also hit those. But then back to pike fishing's been good, artificial wise. But if you wanted to do like live bait, shiners been catching absolutely everything also on the Merrimack and surrounding ponds and lakes and reservoirs. Shiners on the bottom, or shiners with a bobber works phenomenal. And yellow perch been good if you're gonna throw out some night crawlers with the kids. Yellow perch been biting pretty good also in different ponds and lakes around. So, and that's the report for this week. Have a good one.
Now we'll head down the coast a little further. We'll check in with Danny Parma from Fish Bucket Sport Fishing.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in this week with what's going on in Boston. The weather hasn't really cooperated enough to really get offshore much. The weather windows just doesn't seem to work out for us. But we're staying in hopes that December, or even before December, holds up a few weekends that we can get out there and get some haddock, and then December 1st try for some more tuna. I've been hearing from the guys out there, there's plenty of tuna out there, there's plenty of sharks. So if the weather does cooperate and you get an opportunity to get out there, you're probably going to have some good luck. Remember, guys, pick your days, safety first. The biggest tuna in the world isn't worth your life. In Boston, the holdover spots are actually doing pretty well. There's a lot of people that just pack it up for the season and that's it. But if you go out there, your spots, and you work them, you're gonna find some decent fish. I was at a meeting the other day, the Plum Island Surfcasters meeting, and there was a gentleman who goes out kayak fishing in the Boston area, and I believe he moved from California, and he didn't know that the stripe is shut off, so he just went out in April, he went out in March, he went out in January, and he was getting fish. So they're out there. You just got to put some time in and do a little searching around. As far as the ground fish and stuff, the inshore spots have been doing really well, mainly with jigging. The guys are getting some cod, some cusk, some pollock, good sized pollock, some big whiting, some cunner, and a few hake. So if the weather's good, get out there, you'll see some ground fish. For those who know where there's some tog in the Boston area, if you know those spots, you're doing really well. It's not wide open like Rhode Island this time of year, but you know, there's a lot of little spots in Boston that hold some big togs. So get out there, put your time in, and you'll meet success.
Getting down along the South Shore, as Danny mentioned in his piece there are some tog around. It's not a super popular species north of the canal, but a few guys are out doing it. It seems like more boats have been put away at this point. Striped bass fishing is really quickly coming to an end, at least for migratory fish. But the thing that is going on, a lot of trout action in the Plymouth area and then heading it on to the Cape. A lot of guys doing it with artificials too. You don't have to go, you know, stick your finger in that jar of power bait or, you know, get some night crawlers or something like that. Guys doing really well with jerk baits. Guys are doing really well with Ned rigs and more conventional stuff like cast masters and crocodiles and Swedish pimples and Cleos and stuff like that. But the bite's been very good. Seeing some decent sized fish coming out of the, you know, out of all these ponds, whether you're off Cape or on Cape. And then the other thing, of course, is the bass fishing, which has been exceptional. We've seen a lot of big fish come out of the Cape ponds over the last several weeks now. Some of them eclipsing 7 pounds. A lot of these fish are being caught on jigs, but some guys are doing it with swim baits. Some guys are doing it with small stuff like Ned rigs and chatter baits and stuff like that. So very, very, very good freshwater fishing on the Cape right now. As far as striped bass go on the Cape proper, not getting a lot of reports. The only thing that I am hearing is some fish heading up into the estuaries. These are probably fish that are going to hold over. There's been some decent sized fish up inside these estuaries as well. No one's really saying exactly where it's happening, not that I'm surprised about that. But I guess the overarching thing is that there are fish holding over on the Cape right now, and the bite has been good if you know where they are. You will find a few migratory stripers along the Nantucket Sound beaches, and the togging has been holding its own along the Elizabeths and then out along the north side of the Vineyard, pushing through the islands into Buzzards Bay. It's about the same story. Not as many big fish this week. Most of the guys are fishing in deeper water, you know, starting in like 40 feet and going out maybe as deep as 80. But good numbers of keepers around, good action, and overall fishing's solid for tog. Up inside the canal, there's still a few stripers around. There's still some bait up in the canal, and I can't really guess how long these fish are going to stay in the canal. We got some northeast wind coming in, which could push some new fish in. And I think it was 2021 when we had fish in the canal up to the first week of December. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's probably more likely that the people quit before the fish do. You know, I don't doubt that there are straggler fish that go through, you know, all the way up till Christmas time. But, you know, there's no lines in the water then. So I would keep my eye on the canal, at least for another week. I think there's probably, you know, a few more fish to be caught. Very unlikely to catch anything of size, but, you know, if you just want to keep bending the rod, that'd be a good place to try. Heading out west into western Buzzards Bay, togging's been good. There's been some cod mixing in, and still some striped bass. Both, you know, migratory fish going along the beaches, and then some fish heading up into the rivers and estuaries as well. Those fish may migrate out, they may hold over, but in any case, there are still stripers around in the western part of Buzzards Bay, and that's what I have for you guys in Massachusetts this week. Crossing over into Rhode Island, we'll start things off with an East Bay report from TJ Kopecky.
Thanks, Steve. Hey guys, fastest 3 minutes of fishing in the East Bay, and I'll tell you it's getting faster and faster every week. The bite in Mount Hope Bay has kind of just disappeared. Can't find the bass anymore. My buddy Larry checked in with me, and he had come down to do some fishing this weekend up from Hull, Mass. He's been fishing the last 3 weeks and been checking in with me in Mount Hope Bay, and just let me know he didn't get anything this week. Saw the bait, but just couldn't find the bass that were on him in Mount Hope Bay. So I kind of think that series of fish that we had in Mount Hope Bay kind of trickled out and you know, snuck out on us through the back door up to Secana probably. So we haven't been able to find bass pretty much in the whole Maho Bay. I haven't been able to find them in the Coles River or the Lees River, or better yet, even up into the Taunton River. I do see some bait up in the Taunton River though. There are still some pogies up there. They haven't made it down yet, but you know, I read a good article from the Massachusetts Marine Fisheries, and it had to do with the drought that we're in right now. And they mentioned the fact that some of the rivers and like the higher up tributaries where the herring get into, some of the fry haven't been able to drop out because some of those rivers are dried up right now. And I'm sure everyone is seeing that, you know, where you live at some point, you know, there's been a shortage of rain around here, and a lot of that bait fish, you know, like the herring, all that fry hasn't been able to drop out, which, or even the American eels, which would give us a supply of bait for like this late season. You know, it might have slowed things up, you know, and I'm just speculating. And it was a great article, and if you can go back and you can read it, it's a good read for right about now if you're not fishing too much. But I'm going to tell you what is good is freshwater fishing. And usually when the saltwater dies, I get a lot of guys checking in with me saying, hey, we started freshwater fishing. The bass bite is good. I've been doing crappie fishing in Milford Pond here in Swansea, and it's been lights out. And a couple other things to do, just thinking about when, the fishing slows down here is, I got a couple of buddies who go out and they hunt, and like I got these big bucktails, from some of the deer they're shooting, and a lot of you know that I'm really good friends with Jeff Sullivan, who does a report also here, and he actually, I give these all to him, and he actually ties up some really nice fresh bucktails, and we experiment with a lot of things, but it's just stuff to do when the fishing slows down. But getting back to the crappie fishing, I've been using pretty much the Slam Shady from Z-Man right here on just a 1/4 ounce lead head, and I try to use a little bit of color in my lead head because they kind of do like that flash, and they're very aggressive right now. I've also been using a kind of like a slip dauber type of rig, and that would have the gulp smelt on it. I do really well with the gulp smelt, and it's pretty much my go-to when I actually start fishing. But once I get those fish starting to chew, I'll switch over to a bunch of different things just to see what's going to work. The spinner worked. I tried a couple of other small little like worm features on a little like 3/8 lead head. That worked. I pretty much just, once you get a bite going, pretty much want to cast into that same area, and you're definitely going to find a school of fish there, because basically if you're fishing from shore, you have found the structure, which I've been doing. There have been guys out there in kayaks that have been fishing, and they've been doing well also. There are some bass in there. There are some really big bass in there, and I've got a report from my friend John, who actually got a 7-pounder in there, and he was just fishing a wacky wig with a worm. Really slow presentation in Milford Pond, and he did well with bass. So from the East Bay, I know it's slowed down a lot. There's nothing been really going on up in the Warren and Barrington rivers with bass or tautog. I think all the tautog have moved out. So until next week, guys, we'll check in with you again. Tight lines.
As I alluded to in the intro, the togging in Rhode Island has been really good this week. We've seen a lot more bigger fish again. I saw coral had a nice fish, probably pushing double digits anyway. We've seen quite a few other nice fish coming out. A lot of guys switching over to the rigs now, just because the fish are in deeper water. You're starting at 40 and heading out to 90 at this point. But the bite has been good, and there's been some solid fish. The Newport area has been good. Heading out a little deeper toward Point Judith has been good. You got a lot of deep water off of Jamestown and up toward the bridges, which are producing fish as well. And then as you get further south, you're finding plenty of fish out that way as well. And while we're on that subject, let's check in now with Captain John Lee from JL Charters.
Hey guys, John Lee, JL Charters, Point Judith, Rhode Island. I only got out a couple of times this week. I had to run down to Jersey and watch my son play in a soccer tournament. Then we had a bunch of wind. I had a good trip bottom fishing offshore in 75, 80 feet of water. Caught some codfish, some sea bass, some blackfish. Definitely good fishing. Everything was on crabs. A buddy of mine today caught a bunch of small bluefin tuna, wreck-sized bluefins, kind of 30-inch class. He was right tight to Block Island. I don't really know when those fish showed up. I heard they were east of here. I'm not sure if it's the same body of fish, but you know, you can go out right now and catch a blackfish, catch a bluefin. There are some bonitos still south of the windmills mixed in with those sea bass. I hear the Todd bite south of Newport is still strong. So anyway, we got wind coming. We got easterly starting tonight, easterly all day Thursday, southwest hard on Friday, and then coming around and blowing hard out of the west on Saturday. That's going to kick up a sea. It's going to be kind of tumultuous. I'm sure I'm not going to get out. So I'll get up with you guys next time. Hope all is well. Have a good week.
Now, inland fishing has also been good in Rhode Island. We've been seeing good largemouth bass activity from many of the ponds in the smallest state in the Union. And we're also seeing good trout fishing. The state, as you may remember, ahead of Veterans Day, did a bunch of stocking. A lot of guys have been taking advantage of that, and the bite has been good. I went out this past week and found some cooperative largemouth. Nothing really big, throwing big baits, but you know, really topping out at 3 pounds. But a lot of aggressive fish. They seem to really be tight to structure. And I think with this weather coming in today, we may see some much bigger fish strapping on the feed bag ahead of the front. So you may want to get out there. It's probably already raining as you're watching this, but you may want to drop everything and head out there because it might be a good opportunity to get a big one. I know Jeff Sullivan has been out doing some damage with Ned rigs and stuff like that. And while we're talking about him, let's check in with him. Here he is.
What's up, Dave? What's going on, guys? So this week I've been doing a heck of a lot of trout fishing. I've been breaking out my finesse tactics for them. You know, I like the weather. This doesn't feel like November at all, but I'll take it. It's warm weather or mild weather. It's perfect for trout. You know, the wind's been kind of at bay, which is good, knock on wood. But yeah, I just been really taking the Z-Man TRD Drew's Craw is my favorite pattern, but Drew's Craw to work. I've been getting a lot of largemouth. I've been getting hodgepodge, a little of this, a little of that, like white perch, you know, a lot of trout. I've been doing a lot of brook trout fishing, a lot of rainbow trout fishing. This week I'll probably be hunting for some Sebago salmon, some holdovers. And yeah, I mean, I fish with a 1000 Penn Fierce 3 and a Battle 4 1000. And I have an ultralight stick, which is 5'6", and I have a medium stick, which is 7 feet. I like to use a medium stick that's a 7-footer to get me out past the, you know, in spots where it's hard to reach with the 5'6". But the 5'6", good to use a finesse fishing. You can really snap it off the bottom. And the Z-Man hyperelastics, they're actually buoyant. So when you stick them on a Ned head, it stands up off the bottom, and that makes all the difference a lot. So yeah, that's what I've been doing, Dave. I've just been trout fishing like a madman, and I'm going to keep doing it. The weather's nice. Fishing's great. I can't complain. All right, I'll check back with you guys next week. Later.
The other thing happening in Rhode Island, which is a bit of a surprise, seems like almost a second surge of striped bass. It does seem like a lot of these fish are leaving the bay. So we had a strong population of fish up inside the bay, and it seems like something changed. The water temperature changed, or the bait changed, or something, and sort of inspired these fish to head out. So I was talking to Larry Thompson, friend of mine, who's also a regular contributor to the report, and he said he was out in the Narragansett area yesterday and saw several blitzes out, you know, out kind of heading out of the bay and then sort of making the turn out toward, you know, like Black Point and stuff like that. Several blitzes way offshore, some really big blowups in those, and then some blitzes along the beaches too, which were well within range of surf fishermen. He did a little poking around in a couple of different backwater areas and found striped bass willing to take top waters up in there. So striper activity has been surprisingly good, especially from Point Judith to the west, going out along the breachways, going out to Watch Hill. All these areas have been producing fish. I talked to another reader whose name escapes me here. He was telling me that you know, it's been hot and cold, but on the hot days, you're getting good numbers of fish around the Watch Hill area. A lot of these fish are, you know, real small, micros, you know, 20 inches, but mixed in with those tiny fish, they're finding some fish up to 36 inches as well. And that's what I have for you guys at Rhode Island this week.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing: that nothing says no to fish bites.
Crossing the border into Connecticut now, the sort of ferocious bite of bigger tog has started to cool off in the Eastern Sound. That's not to say that they're not being caught. There are still some nice tog to be had out there, but you know, tog are territorial fish, and you know, when a good bite fires up, a lot of people get on it, and after that, you know, it becomes a little tougher. You know, we start pulling out, you know, there's no fish to replace them, if you follow me. But bite's been good overall in the Eastern Sound. We're seeing striped bass moving up into the Thames, seeing some stripers inside the Niantic Bay, seeing some stripers moving up into the Connecticut River. Good fishing all around in those areas.
Hey, what's up everybody? For this week's fishing report, there's schoolie-sized stripers moving all throughout Long Island Sound. They are making their way to the rivers where they're gonna hold over for the winter. So expect to see those fish moving through over the next couple weeks. The black fishing has been really good. The water temperature's starting to drop. There's some nice sized blackfish, and definitely could put a good limit of blackfish together. Also some tuna running around inshore. So that's all I have for you. Good luck.
Now let's head out of the river and we'll check in quick with Matt Stone at Black Hall Outfitters.
What's up everyone, Matt here from Black Hall Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. A lot of similar stuff to last week's report. The tog definitely seem like they are moving out a little bit. I've started to have better luck in 25, 30, 40, 45 or so feet deep as opposed to, you know, kind of those shallower 10 to 12. Not that they're not still shallow. They're going to probably be shallow here and there, but just a starting point now maybe is 25, 30 if you don't have a honey hole that's in 10 to 15, I would say. Definitely been some really, really good fish out there. I've gotten a few, you know, just solid fish. Some days the bite is absolutely on fire. If you get kind of one of those weird days, it does seem a little slow. I've had much better luck on an outgoing tide. For whatever reason, sometimes it's warmer water this time of year, but just something to think about. I usually say to the customers, moving water is better than none for tog, but you know, who knows what mood they're in. If it was that easy, we'd catch them without trying. There are a lot of schoolie stripers around. I've heard from some guys actually today that we're seeing them off the beach. I've caught a couple myself on just little paddle tails. You know, they're just little schoolie guys, kind of next generation, getting ready to go bellies down in the mud for the winter. So I think probably our bigger fish are mostly migrated on out of here, except maybe there's a few lingering in the Western Sound or something like that. But as the Jersey bite gets better with big fish, our bite typically gets worse, since that's kind of the same biomass of fish a lot of the times. And those guys are whacking them. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on right now. If you're looking to get into trout and things like that, the water levels are understandably low. We are going to get some rain here on the tail end of this week. Tomorrow, as I make this video on Wednesday the 20th, we're supposed to get a nice rainstorm. We need it, but we'll see what happens with the bite then. But it's kind of definitely getting into, you know, kind of wintry type mode. A lot of good days out there, still plenty to do. I kind of put an emphasis on just being outside in the winter. So pick your species, pick a spot, have some fun.
Seems like fewer and fewer guys have their boats in the water at this point. Togging is still good in the western half of the Sound. In fact, I'd say it might be a little bit better than it is in the eastern half of the Sound at this point. Still plenty of sea bass around, but most of the charter guys are off the water. And, you know, just a fraction of the recreational boaters still have a boat still have a boat that's insured so they can get out there and make it happen. But the guys that are doing well. With mixed species, even a few porgies still around, and then there are, you know, schools of striped bass just sort of charging along. A lot of these fish are on the smaller side, but it's blitz action. Can be, you know, fast and furious, a lot of fun. Seen a lot of fish in the really small size and then right around the slot in those fisheries. As you get further west, though, there are some larger fish moving up into some of these tidal rivers, likely going to hold over, but some of them just might be pushing bunker or something like that, and they're going to continue to migrate once they chase the bait around and chase it back out. But heard of some fish, you know, pushing up into the high 30-pound class, maybe even a few eclipsing that. This is not typical. You know, these are guys that are putting in a lot of time to find these fish, but they are around. Especially if you can find yourself some bigger baits. So keep your eyes open. If you're out on the water in the kayak, if you're out in the boat, if you're fishing from shore, you know, you may stumble upon some bigger fish, so make sure you're prepared for that. And as we head out further west, let's check in now with Max Finch from Fisherman's World.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with another local fishing report. This past week we seen blackfish weighed in the shop, you know, 2 over 10 pounds, which is awesome. Congratulations to Frankie. He's winning the weekly tournament right now. And Dre's not far behind. These two have been really hammering the blackfish and weighing them in and really catching some nice fish this season. I want to give them both a shout out. The bass fishing locally is still concentrated to our beachfronts, our harbors, up in our tidal rivers. The Norwalk River's fishing well. We're seeing Norwalk Harbor blitzes. You know, I can see them from the shop windows in the morning. Outside the Houstonic is also good, using stuff in that 4 to 6 inch range, like small paddle tails, spooks, your favorite plugs like topwater, super strike is really good, the bottleneck poppers. Our deeper water reefs are hit or miss right now. We haven't seen them really great diamond jigging, but it's worth a check if you're going out. Blackfish fishing still remains red hot. We're getting reports all over still from shallow. Guys catching big fish are getting them shallow, and I know guys on wrecks, you know, getting really nice fish too, and they're getting some really big knothead sea bass in. We're still stocked up on crabs and all your jigs you need till the end of the season. Porgies on the beaches, they're starting to really dwindle. We're getting less and less reports, but guys from the boats are still getting them in that 30 to 50 foot wreck and mark on wrecks and then deep water reefs. Guys fishing blackfish too on these wrecks are starting to get some really big hubcaps too. So the fishing's still great. I know the weather's been up and down, but if you can get out, you got to get a wet a line. Who knows, you might catch a bass on the beaches, you know, locally, or if you're going black fishing, there's really no hot depth. So pick a spot, put some time in, and catch some fish. Thanks and good luck.
And that's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there and sort of give yourself something to be thankful for in the week ahead of Thanksgiving. If you're not a subscriber to The Fisherman, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You get a full taste of what we offer. We cover all the fishing from Delaware to Maine. We cover every angling discipline you can think of, whether you're a surf guy, whether you're in the kayak, whether you want to push off on the paddleboard, or you're going to head off shore with your, you know, triple outboards and, you know, spend the night in the canyon. We cover it all. We also do all the freshwater stuff. We do travel stuff that reaches outside the region. Head over to the website. Check it out. You're going to be impressed. If you do that, though, and you're still not convinced enough to spend the $30 for a subscription, and a subscription gets you 26 digital editions plus 12 paper editions. It's a pretty good deal. Plus all the back issues and access to our other magazines, which it's like getting 3 magazines for the price of 1. But if you're still not interested after all that, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.